Hello everybody, hope you're doing well today. Marc G with the C back with another video. And I am back with the next part in this series. I spoke about doing my favourite albums from my favourite labels. We have already covered Noise Records and Century Media Records, both out of Germany. Today I'm going to go for an English label, one that you know as well as I do, I'm sure. Peaceville Records, based out of Dewsbury in Yorkshire. Again, another label along with Century Media that sort of played quite a big part in my life on a personal level with the enchantment and the whole recording process. Our album was recorded at Academy Studios in Dewsbury, just a stone's throw from the Peaceville offices. But a very, very, very influential label for me and my friends in the late 80s, early 90s, with opening the doors to so many great bands from all over the world. So let me show you. As with the other videos, this isn't like an exclusive list of all my Peaceville collection. I am just sort of going to show you some of my favourite pieces from my collection and some of my favourite albums that Peaceville released. So let's start off with this compilation, Vile Vibes. This was released in '90, I think. Yeah, and introduced me to a plethora of excellent bands. Paradise Lost, Autopsy. There was even the Confessor track on this, Toranaga. In the early days, Peaceville were very... they had a lot of crusty, sort of punky bands on their label as well, you know, like Deviated Instinct and Doom, Electro Hippies, Decadence Within, Sore Throat. That wasn't really my kind of thing. But you know, it's labels weren't just going to be just putting out one genre of music, really. Especially back in the late 80s, early 90s, the birth of death metal, really. I always checked these bands out and I quite enjoyed them, but it's just not my style, really. You know, punky, crusty stuff just wasn't my thing. But yeah, as with a lot of the compilations that these labels put out, this was a great source of finding out about bands and hearing their music. So yeah, a big comp for me and my friends back in the day, Vile Vibes. So where should we start? Let's start here. From California, Autopsy, Severed Survival. Just an awesome, filthy, you know I was going to say it, but filthy, dirty, horrible death metal at its finest. This has been the blueprint for so many bands, especially in the last few years. Chris Reifert, previous drummer on Scream Bloody Gore with Evil Chuck. Just a brilliant album, this. Let me show you that. Even got the old Peaceville logo. It's an OG press, this one. Yeah, it's got everything I love about death metal. It's got that. I love that. I love the aggression. I love the DIY-ness to it. I love the fact that it sounds like they've just practiced the songs. They've gone in the studio. They've spent 3 or 4 days recording them. It just that's how it should be. I don't like. Don't get me wrong. I like music that's well produced and I enjoy it. But for me, you know, a perfect death metal album is one that has got that rawness. Has got that. You can feel the musicians playing the music. One of my favourite albums of all time, let alone on Peaceville. Severed Survival. What year was that? 90, I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah. I've also got that on cassette as well with the alternative cover. That was the original cover. Very sort of Hellraiser style. That got banned. Can you believe that now when you look at the album artwork nowadays? That got banned. But yeah, they changed it for this this new artwork, which I always loved, this new artwork. Let me show you that. Pull out there the J card. Lyrics on the inside. Like I say, one of the greatest death metal albums of all time, in my opinion. But to be fair to him, Autopsy, they followed that up. Let's get this out of there. They followed it up with this monster from '91, Mental Funeral. Another great album art, piece of art there. And again, they carried this on from the really dirty, nasty, horrible sound, but there was definitely more of a doom element. They slowed things down a lot more on this album, you know, and death doom, you know. I don't suppose Autopsy were always sort of known as a death doom band, but this album is death doom. The way it slows down, and I mean it slows right down. You know, they were fast. They had the occasional blast beats in there, but you know, they were a mid tempo band, I suppose, Autopsy really, but they went to the extremes of speed and then slowed it round. But love this album. This is an OG press. Back in the day, let me just show you that. I have shown this before, but it's one of my favourite pieces in my collection. This green vinyl. You didn't get many coloured vinyl variants back in '91. You know, everything was pretty much black. So it's one that stayed with me in the collection. That, 'cause it was always a favourite. Re-sleeving on camera as well. That went quite well, so I can handle that. Yeah, Autopsy, Mental Funeral from '91. Right, I'll show you another record. This is going back to '88, and one of the first records that I ever heard. Again, probably down to the Vile Vibes. Is it on there? Yeah, Dealers in Death. Toranaga's debut EP, Bastard Ballads. Only a 6-track EP. This is a band that they were talked about a lot. They were very prominent in the music press. A lot of things were being talked about them. You know, these guys knew how to play. The vocalist Marc, great voice, great musicianship. Everything about them, the riffs, they were brilliant. And I don't know, because of the style of the music, they weren't quite thrash, they weren't quite power, they weren't quite speed. I always felt like they treaded on that line all the time, so maybe that's what didn't help them. But you know, they got signed to Chrysalis Records, I think, for their debut, and toured with some big bands. Manowar, I think they supported, but they just never quite made it, and I don't know why. Check this band out, please do. Toranaga from Bradford in the UK. Look at that art. That cover straight away when I saw that. The logo, cover art, everything about it. I was all over that. But yeah, power metal, heavy metal, bordered on thrash metal. Toranaga, Bastard Ballads. Got that on the CD as well. The collector in me, you know, gotta have it on multi-formats, haven't you? Yeah, great EP. The album God's Gift is good as well, but I can't show that because that's on Chrysalis Records and not on Peaceville. Another band. This is a style of music that I've never been heavily into. I suppose you could call it industrial death metal. The most famous sort of band for playing this style, I suppose, back in the day was Godflesh. But this is Pitch Shifter from Nottingham, and one of the first gigs I ever went to at Wrexham Memorial Hall with my friends was this. Pitch Shifter supporting Napalm Death. So it isn't, like I say, one of my favourite styles of music, but I really enjoy it. Street Cleaner by Godflesh is a brilliant album, and I love this too. This has very much got that same drum sound. You know, you can tell it's a programmed drum, but they write the rhythms into the music so well that it becomes a major part of the song, you know, and you kind of forget that it's a drum machine playing it. But yeah, these were excellent. These went on to be a bit more popular, and, you know, they got signed to a bigger label, and they lost the sort of the deafness, because the vocals on this one's just pure growling, like I say, very much like Godflesh. But yeah, this is their debut. When's this from? 91. Now this is one of these released on Def Records. Def Records is like a subsidiary of Peaceville, still on the Peaceville label, as you can see with the logo there on the CD, but they were putting some stuff out on Def. I'll show you some others that are released on there now as well. Put that there safe. Another one that was released, oh, what number's that? That was Def 5. This one's Def 6, and I'll show you the tape version of this. This is Therion from Sweden, their debut of Darkness. Brilliant. If you know Therion now, they're a very gothic-y, symphonic death metal band. When they first started, this and their second album are just pure slabs of in-your-face, youthful, raw death metal. Loads of time changes, great guitar sound. Christopher Jonsson, what I say his name is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Simple J card there. Christopher Jonsson, yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Great, crackling, deep, guttural vocals. An absolute brilliant album, this. Like I say, this and their second one, they're the only sort of Therion albums that I really go to. I'm not a big fan of the later stuff. But yeah, Therion of Darkness from 90, is that 90 as well? 91. Also, this is a band from the UK, and one of those albums that, as we all know with a few albums, they go under the radar, people miss out on them. I was lucky enough, because, and the way, you know, when you were getting to music and like with noise and social media, once you knew they were putting out good music, you looked out for all the releases. And I remember seeing this come out, didn't know anything about the band, I never heard of them, loved the artwork, and I've loved the album ever since. Impaler, I think these are from Leamington Spa, I want to say, and their album Charnel Deity. The one-off release, this is from 90, I want to say this is 91. I could be wrong, it could be 92, but again, Def Records, the subsidiary of Peaceville. If you've never heard this album, this is excellent. This is just old school, shugging, deep death metal. It almost has got a bit of an American, a bit of a New York sort of feel to it in places, I always found. Not a stereotypical English death metal band at all, but absolutely fabulous album. It's quite a hard find, this, nowadays, and I don't think it's been reissued, but a brilliant album. Impaler, Charnel Deity. So we're on 15 minutes nearly already, and I am only about halfway through, so I'm going to try and fly through these a little bit for you, I think, so I can get to show you them all. Another great album, The Red in the Sky Is Ours by At the Gates, their debut full length. And again, this is released on the Def, this is an OG press on the Def label. Love this album, love the rawness, love the angularness, if that's a word, of You know, it's just a riff fest. There's riffs going on all the way through it. It's got some really beautiful moments, some real melancholy moments, and then just flips into this fierce, angry sound. Brilliant album. From Norway, Darkthrone, their debut Soulside Journey. Again, not just one of my favourite Peaceville releases, but one of my favourite death metal releases of all time. The first song, Cromlech. Yeah, Cromlech. Is just brilliant. One of my favourite death metal songs ever. Just love every riff in it from start to finish. Just sucks me in. Just the sound, the what I always loved about this album as well was Fenris's drumming, and I loved the way that, you know, when you're recording drums, all the levels are nice and even. I loved the way on this they left the snare to sort of pop every now and again, like when he was doing a roll, or he hit the snare a bit harder than the previous time. They left that in, so it snaps in there, and I love that. Like I was saying about the Autopsy, I kind of love that rawness of it and that DIY sort of feel. But yeah, fabulous album. And that was followed up by their second, Ablaze in the Northern Sky, which was a complete departure from Soulside Journey. This is Darkthrone as a black metal band, and I can remember having a compilation tape, and it had In the Shadow of the Horns on it, and I was completely like, what is going on with Darkthrone? That is, it was almost my very first sort of foray into black metal sound, and I liked it. I did enjoy it, and I still enjoy it to this day. And this is probably my favourite Darkthrone black metal album, if you will. It was very different, like I say, to Soulside Journey, but I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the style of it, and you know, they were still incorporating the melody into the riffs, as harsh and as fierce as it did sound. Yeah, their second album, Ablaze in the Northern Sky. A band who were a little bit different for Peaceville, and again, this is as I was talking about Death Records, this is one of their subsidiaries, Dreamtime. I was talking about on Vile Vibes when they branched out into the crusty sort of punky stuff. They also branched out into the, how you would describe GGFH, Global Genocide, Forget Heaven, their style. I don't know if you would call it industrial, electronic, gothic music. It's certainly not dance music, but it had that, you know, that feel to some of the songs, but it always kept the darkness of metal, the attitude of metal. The song Room 213 is a prime example. That was the number of the apartment of Jeffrey Dahmer, renowned serial killer from Milwaukee in America. I have got another one of these releases, but not an album that I go to very often. But again, it was released on Peaceville. I was, you know, back in, what year is that? 92. I was absorbing anything that these labels brought out. I was going to check it all out. Got a compilation there as well, The Very Beast of G.g.f.h. Again, like I say, not one of my go-to albums really, but I do enjoy it from time to time. It takes me back on a journey. Room 213, Frozen Heart mix, which is, I suppose, whether they knew that, but Jeffrey Dahmer used to put the body parts of his victims in the freezer, so maybe there was a heart in there. Frozen Heart mix. Who knows? Right, let's show you this band from New York, Mortar Skulls. Again, one of those bands that's sort of missed out a little bit for me. This is their debut album, if I remember rightly. Dying Remains and As Humanity Fades. It's a 2 CD version, this one. But yeah, it's even that picture, that kind of just look like Immolation. But they've got that, not as evil sounding as Immolation, but mid-tempo, chunky, filthy riffs throughout. Excellent death metal. Mortar Skulls, Dying Remains. Few more to show you. Classic English death doom band, Paradise Lost, their debut. What year's that? Now then, I haven't done my own work for this because I know these albums so well, but I say I know them that well. I don't know what year this is, but I'm going to say 90 because I can't see it. Yeah. My arms aren't getting long enough anymore to be able to read these things. I always loved that picture. Always loved Nick Holmes wearing that Confessor jumper. Great t-shirt that. In fact, I've got that long sleeve myself. Love that art. But yeah, from Halifax, Paradise Lost, superb. You know, one of the pioneers of the whole death doom genre, and I love this album. One of my favourite albums of all time. Just everything about it, the album cover, the artwork, you know, even the logo. I could not get enough of Paradise Lost back in the day. Fabulous album. They followed that up by releasing this album, Gothic. One of my, again, I've said it before, one of my favourite albums, let alone Peaceville Records, one of my favourite albums of all time anyway. Gothic. This is an OG copy, one that survived from back in the day, and a nice red vinyl. And like I said with the Autopsy, it's you know, back in 91. This was 91, wasn't it? Yeah, back in 91 there wasn't a lot of coloured vinyl around, so the gatefold always baffled me, and it still baffles me to this day when bands put gatefolds out and there's not really much going on, is there? You know, I don't know, but there you go anyway. Great album. Another band from Halifax. There was obviously something in the water in Halifax back in the late 80s and early 90s. My Dying Bride and their debut EP. And you're going to make me say it now, aren't you? Symphonia Infernus Aspera Imperium. This was, like Paradise Lost came along and were playing that different style, these guys came along and they incorporated a little bit more folk. I don't want to say folk into it, obviously there's violin in there, but they were incorporating even more atmosphere and Englishness, I suppose, into the music. But just a fabulous EP, love that. Followed that up with As a Flower Withers, but this album, Turn Loose the Swans, this album kicked in, and it just didn't kick in. It just starts off so mellow, and you know, there's no growls. It was, you know, this was the beginning of. There's no way I can read what year that was, but I want to say this is 92. Can I have a quick look? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Really, I'm showing you the album. It doesn't. Is that 92? Maybe 93. Maybe 93. This. But this was, I suppose, maybe the way death doom was going back in that day. My Dying Bride, there was still those riffs in there, those heavy elements, but they were really breaking it down and putting these just beautiful mellow moments in there. A real groundbreaking album. Just brilliant, absolutely brilliant, fabulous. And Aaron's voice, you know, from going from just purely growls, a bit like Nick Holmes really, to using these clean vocals. Hats off to the guys. Yeah, Turn Loose the Swans. And as they called them, the Peaceville Three: Paradise Lost, My Dying Bride, and Liverpool's Anathema. Anathema went on to have quite a successful career, you know, and I'm talking, not that Paradise Lost and My Dying Bride didn't, but they changed it up, these guys as well. Very much ended up very much sounding like Porcupine Tree before they broke up a couple of years ago. But this debut EP with Darren White on vocals, this and Serenades are their best two pieces of work for me. We were lucky enough in Enchantment to support Anathema, play with them a couple of times, and got to know Duncan, the bass player, and Darren quite well. But yeah, just this is a brilliant album. This album, Serenades, is right up there with Gothic and Turn Loose the Swans for me. Again, the song Sleepless, they were already on their debut full length incorporating that mellower, sort of gothic-y sound, you know, it almost it was a real quintessential sort of, is that the right word? It was a real English thing that was going on, you know. They were heavy and the riffs were heavy and the vocals were harsh, but there was these beautiful elements that were put in by, you know, all these bands. With Gothic, you know, with Paradise Lost, the way they incorporated the female vocals into the chorus, but just brilliant. Absolutely love that album. And that's it. I have ended with the third of the Peaceville Three. Great compilation, vile vibes. I hope this video has been of some interest to you. Oh, playing in the background, another the CD's actually in the other room, but another Peaceville band and a more modern Peaceville band, Bloodbath, 2008 release. This originally was Dan Swano, Michael Ackerfeld from Opeth. He does appear in this album still, and nowadays Bloodbath have featured Nick Holmes from Paradise Lost on vocals, but this is a modern death metal band playing that old school style just perfectly, as you can hear in the background. But yeah, like I say, I hope it's been of some interest to you. It's always nice to show you bits of my collection, some of the OG presses, and like I say, it's nice. This whole sort of idea of this series is nice because it's getting me pulling these records out of my collection, some that I haven't played for ages. The last few days I've been listening to the Peaceville Three, been playing their albums a lot, because I've pulled them out ready for this video, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Reconnecting with albums. But as always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch, really appreciate it, and I'll be back soon with another video. Until then, take care, bye for now.